It's Monday night. Maybe you're wondering where CM Punk goes. Maybe you're trying to figure out which Monday night football game to watch. Well, you know what? Forget about all of that tonight on Sportswire Radio because we have a real treat. As a matter of fact, we have a king sick fill in the blanks, and he's going to tell us about it. And especially if you are a fan of death matches, this guy really has become the man. In fact, he's such the man that his name is actually one word, almost like Madonna in a way. He's kind of a lot better than that, certainly in the ring, and he certainly moves a lot better these days. But obviously, he's here because we have some business to get to because our guest Friday, another deathmatch star, had a lot to say about him. He's going to respond and some. This man you've seen all over the place in places like XPW, Negative Outlook Wrestling. You've seen him wrestle the likes of Brandon St. James, Nathan Mowry, Daniels, CJ Jake, CJ Jacobs, you name him, doesn't matter. He's here. He's going to tell us his side of the story. So like everybody else here that's been on Sportswire Radio, and especially since Jimmy Controversy got it, he has to get that introduction. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show from the group Total Effing Chaos. They call him just Hardcore. My friend, how you doing?
Hello, good to be here finally.
Boy, you did hear that clip about Jimmy then, because I kind of had the running joke with Jimmy, basically, that you were supposed to be here. Then it didn't happen, but we are promising everybody, those that are watching and listening on Sportswire Radio and on sportswireradio.org, this will be worth the wait. Regardless, sometimes it's better to wait because it is a tremendous honor to have you here, my friend, on the show. And I'm going to go straight to it because obviously you and Jimmy Controversy, if you think about it, if you're a wrestling fan, underground wrestling fan, pro wrestling fan, but especially a deathmatch wrestling fan, this is almost a dream match. And we're getting it here at our very good friends over in North Haven, Connecticut, that is going to be at the TF Cruz North Haven Massacre, Saturday, January the 6th. And what better way for their first ever live indoor show to kick off here between you and Jimmy Controversy. So for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, Hardcore, tell us what we can expect against Sergeant Jimmy Controversy in that TF Crew death match.
Well, first of all, it's my debut in Connecticut, first time wrestling in Connecticut, so that's really cool.
Wow.
Gabe Sayers is a good guy. I'm glad to be
Great guy. Gabe has been a big supporter of mine. I really want to thank Gabe really for this.
I met Gabe a few years back at UWF, and he came up and wrestled in New York for us a couple times and came just to support and stuff. And yeah, he's a great dude. Can't wait to work with him. I'm happy to be going. But for this match, it's the first one of 2024 for me, first of all. So right off the bat, we're gonna kick it into high gear because 2024. We're going balls to the wall. It's gonna be the year of hardcore. Like this past year was insane. I've done things that I never thought I would ever do in my lifetime, but now I'm still doing it. So I'm just gonna go bigger. It sucks that it's against Jimmy for Jimmy's sake because
I was gonna say. I mean, I don't think it sucks for those of us that are gonna get a chance to watch this show.
They're gonna have the time of their lives because I'm gonna tear this little motherfucker apart. I'm sorry. Can I swear?
Yeah, because you're hardcore. I'm gonna say sure. Go ahead. You're hardcore.
Thanks, buddy. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. My apologies.
No, fair enough. We usually say it's a family show on Sports Hub, but because you are hardcore and you are pretty much like a deathmatch legend and a worldwide star. I mean, I would say if it was for like Mickey Mouse, if it was for Taylor Swift, I'd say, nah, don't curse. But you are hardcore, so I'll say, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I'll still keep it to a minimum, but
appreciate that.
and foremost, I mean, right off the bat, total fucking chaos. Obviously, hates authority. We are not fans of cops. We are not fans of anyone with sergeant in their name. So not only is my first match of 2024 against Sergeant James controversy, but now being a cop also. And now I'm just going to have to make an example of him for two reasons. Because A, we fucking hate cops. And B, he's the first one on the list of people to die of 2024. I've already insane weapons for this match. My last match was canceled. And now I have a lot of pent up frustration. So, I mean, I almost feel bad for the kid. Like, I've, along the way, we've definitely crossed paths in backstage areas. And, yeah, it really sucks to be him. Like, that's all I can say is he, please go ahead.
But he said some things about you, though. He talked about the age, and he kind of referenced in a way your age. I mean, how did that make you feel in a way? That was kind of a backhanded slap at you, no?
Here's the thing. He can say whatever he wants. I'm 39 years old. I am just now hitting my stride. It doesn't matter if I'm 39 or if I'm 29. You still can't hurt me, Jimmy Controversy. Like, I've already been through hell and back twice over. I've done just about every insane thing there is to do in deathmatch. So at this point, Jimmy, like, what can you possibly do to hurt me? I can't even hurt me anymore. And that's saying something.
Do you think? Well, let me ask you a question, because obviously Jimmy, in his own right, has wrestled some big names. You have definitely done that also in the deathmatch circuit, but he's wrestled guys that even mainstream wrestling fans would know, like Pitbull, Gary Wolf, certainly Tommy Dreamer. I mean, listen, to have Tommy Dreamer on your resume, I mean, that's as good as anybody's is ever going to have. Do you think maybe in a way that he's underestimating you? Maybe he's taking you lightly, if that makes sense, based on kind of even his comments on social media before he came on with us on Sportswire on Friday? Do you think that's a fair statement for me to say?
Oh, I 100% agree that he's underestimating me. Everyone underestimates me, but you know what?
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that you get underestimated for? Is it because you've only been in the deathmatch scene for a little while? Is it age? Is it because of the group Total Effing Chaos? I mean, why do you think that is?
I think it's a combination of things. I think people think that because I'm, 39 years old and, I'm the little guy compared to most people that, I can't hold my own or I can't square up. But I mean, just look at everything that's happened this past year. I think I've proven to many people that I can not only hold my own, but,
you carried matches. I mean, I would dare say, listen, Madman Pondo, I mean, you carried him in that match. I mean, in fact, you carried him so much to the point that he didn't even want to take any more punishment. I mean, let's kick the ballistics here. I mean, you have definitely put your body through things that I think I said this on a lot of Sportswire shows. I see people coming in here. You have put your body through, I would dare say, stuntmen never do a tenth of what you have done in your life, sir. So that's why I say maybe in a way, Jimmy is underestimating you, and especially, I'm going to tell you why further, because he was on this show, and I had mentioned my guest last Tuesday on the show, renowned worldwide wrestling legend, Dean Allmark. Dean Allmark has wrestled in Japan, Italy, France. He wrestled for Impact Wrestling. And Jimmy all of a sudden cut me off and said, you know what? I want a match with this guy, Dean Allmark. Let's let the fans choose it. Let's put my background against his. I can go out there, and I would think, right, if I'm Jimmy, knowing that the first match of the year is coming up in 2024, this is pretty much what's going to be on your calendar. Maybe instead of focusing on a living legend like Dean Allmark, who's trained the likes of, oh, by the way, AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm, maybe you should be focusing on Hardcore and Total Effing Chaos and what he did the last time I saw him in a ring against Brandon St. James in a no-ring death match where you pretty much got the job done and walked away with a victory. I'm just saying.
Not only came off with the victory, but Brandon is also a good friend of ours now. So
I saw after the match. I think that's the first I've ever seen after a match something like that, where you guys embraced in a rather interesting way that I think the people in West Virginia were probably like, huh?
We sometimes make friends when we cause a little chaos. West Virginia initially hated us, and the majority of them still hate us. But we made a new friend. So now when we go down, we at least have a floor to crash on, which is nice. But no, Jimmy, I mean, he can throw anything he wants at me, and I'm just gonna keep coming after him. Like, it's gonna be a bloodbath, man. And that's not even including Will, who's gonna be outside the ring in my corner. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So,
high pitch Will. I mean, what he brings to the table here, and I'm going to get to comments. A lot of people definitely want to talk to you. I'm going to try to get everybody. I mean, high pitch Will. Maybe in a way, he's kind of like the wild card in this because he's definitely a part of the group. He's almost kind of your advocate in a way, and we know Jimmy. And again, Jimmy's resume is pretty much well documented. In fact, Jimmy even runs his own company. But I mean, because you've got high pitch Will in your corner, maybe that's a big wild card here on January 6th.
and listen, I mean, not to say nothing, but we have friends everywhere.
I did hear that. I did hear that in the negative outlook match that there's total effing chaos. Fans, friends, you guys almost have like cells all over the place. Is that a fair statement for me to say?
It's
Well, don't tell us exactly, because obviously Jimmy's going to hear this. That Jimmy's going to go and want to say, okay, that's the plan.
exactly. No, we're becoming quite the cancer on America, and I'm very
Well, if it makes you feel any better, especially because my very, very lovely friend Zena, although she won't admit she's my very, very lovely friend, I always am putting cancer in my body with these big gulps. So that was kind of a very, very funny, maybe funny or not so funny joke. But obviously talking about the match here for a few minutes, and I want to come back to some people, and I want to get to some more things to ask you. Obviously, it's a tremendous honor to have you. But do you feel like that because this is the first match of the year, that this is also kind of like this is also the way that people are going to remember you? It's the start of things to come, and it gives you like further motivation. Because obviously, look, Jimmy, we talked about maybe he's looking past you. He's been petitioning here to get a match with Dean Allmark. I already said who he is, and he's talked about his own background, and he runs his own company even. But do you think maybe that this is kind of exactly what you need to have an even bigger 2024?
I 100% think that's exactly true. I think this is the perfect way to kick off the year, and I'm going to make an exact example of Jimmy controversy, and I'm going to show everybody what I'm going to do the entire rest of the year, because I mean, I can only go crazier from the start. You know what I mean? And I've already
yeah, listen, the ball drops a week, less than a week earlier, and maybe people are still hungover and they're still thinking about the fireworks, they're still thinking about the festivities, and we're going to see more of that here coming up at the TF Crew's first ever live indoor show, and it's going to be between Hardcore and Sergeant Jimmy Controversy in a TF Crew death match. And again, go to TF Crew 69 on YouTube, TF Crew on Instagram for more information. And I have to ask you then, one more thing, or two more actually, on Jimmy. I'm going to come back to Jimmy at the end of the show, but Jimmy, as you know, runs his own company, and it's Pro Wrestling Venom, and we see a who's who of people come in there. And I was wondering this. Do you ever feel that also there's further motivation in this match that Jimmy never asked you to be a part of that company? Jimmy obviously said it himself, that he's in the business and he's running things and he's got all these different responsibilities. But I would think, right, Hardcore, tell me your thoughts on this. Right now, I'm a businessman. I run my own internet radio station. We do different things here in Sportzwire. I would think, though, right, because even Jimmy used the word, what's best for business. And wouldn't it have been what's best for business this year for Jimmy Controversy to have signed Hardcore, High Pitch Will, and the rest of Total Effing Chaos to Pro Wrestling Venom? Is that a fair statement for me to say?
I mean, it's fair to say that most companies should have probably done that this year, but his loss. Am I wrong? I mean, if he's not booking me, that's completely his loss. But at the same time, like, do I want to work for a little bootlicker like Jimmy Controversy? I'm not entirely sure. You know what I mean?
Are you saying that maybe he's, how can I put this without breaking the fourth wall, politicked his way to these big matches with Tommy Dreamer and Necro Butcher and Mac 10? Is that what you're trying to tell me here tonight?
I mean, it kind of reminds me of another person who also has sometimes big matches with people like Schlack and Necro Butcher. And, there's a guy named Dilf, and he seems to do the same thing.
Interesting.
So,
interesting.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm not saying neither here nor there, but.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to get to comments, but I want to say one more thing. Jimmy said that this is going to be an insurrection. And we obviously don't want to talk about what happened those years ago, but I have a feeling, and it comes to the interest of the people in North Haven, Connecticut, coming up here January the 6th first ever TF Crew live indoor event, you and Jimmy, it very well could be an insurrection that this one you will definitely want to be there for, no?
I mean, I know he loves an American flag, so I hope he's ready to be buried in it.
Ooh. The fireworks have started early for January the 6th. And ladies and gentlemen, we are not that far away from it. Listen, we are only 26 days away from, in a lot of ways, a dream match that has never happened before. And we're going to get it here at the TF Crew's first ever live indoor event. That's going to be the North Haven Massacre. It's going to be Hardcore and Sergeant Jimmy Controversy, our guest on Friday. Tonight, we get Hardcore side of the story, and you're going to see that and plus much, much more. You can go to TF Crew on Instagram, TF Crew 69 on YouTube for more information. And if you want to follow Hardcore, there is some links below that I would highly recommend. You definitely go out there and follow and support this man. Maybe even buy some merchandise, buy some Hardcore merch, because we got that link there even for you. Let me get to some comments. My guest Saturday on the show, the Resurrection Wrestling Internet Champion, D'Angelo LaFlame. Now, Resurrection Wrestling is where Jimmy Controversy wrestled not too long ago. Now, I actually have to bring up Resurrection for a second toward you, because I had on the co-owner and the general manager of that company, Joseph Tibbs. Now, they're obviously in Tennessee, but we know Hardcore travels and Total Effing Chaos travels. You've got even members out there in Canada. And I was wondering, they have this show coming up January the 27th called Lockdown. And, you know, Jimmy certainly raved about that company. And I had promised Mr. Tibbs that I would ask if there was a possibility one day maybe you would also want to show up in a company called Resurrection Wrestling, and maybe even one day see Jimmy there or anybody else on that card. Would that be a possibility? I could ask it on the air.
I mean, anything's a possibility. You know, we're always traveling everywhere. We've been to Tennessee a couple times. We wrestled for Brad Cash, and I had a death match down there with like Satu Jin and a couple other people.
I saw that. Yep, that I watched.
Yes, I mean, we've been down there before. It's warmer than New York, so we're usually really
Although right now I really want to give actually my thoughts and prayers to the people in Tennessee, because they had a really, really bad tornado out there this past weekend and really, really bad conditions. I hope people are definitely safe out there and they're recovering from all the damage out there. So definitely, if you're out there, thank you for tuning in. And I also want to make sure, if you haven't here for the first time, check us out on YouTube. We have a brand new link here at Sportswire Radio 6579 Backspace Streams. You can check us out on sportswireradio.org. So give us a sub, give us a like. We'll have more deathmatch and more wrestling coverage all throughout the week on Sportswire Radio. Let me get to more comments. I want to say hello to one of my buddies out there, very, very good friend out there. And I think I know who he is, but I'm not going to say who he is because he's another wrestling star. Hope you're all having a great night. Congratulations, champ. Absolutely. Obviously, management is in the house. TF Crew, we love Hardcore. Amen to that. Speaking of people who are hardcore, another place I would hope to see you one day over in the IMF. This coming weekend, they have their first ever live indoor show called The Winter Clash, and their champion is here, Mr. Soldier GP. He's going to be wrestling the Sieve, and we're really, really excited about Soldier. Soldier just actually recorded a little thing on the IMF's page where they had some of the guys like Omen Black, the Boogeyman of the Midwest, and also Freddie Daniels. They were talking about what they're going to do on Saturday's show, so please follow the IMF on YouTube, IMF Wrestling 666. Speaking of other people who apparently says he's going to be meeting you January the 6th, and that is Mr. Matthew Forsaken, who will be in action in Iowa for the IMF Winter Clash. And he says he's pretty sure Matthew Forsaken will be in Connecticut January 6th. So I guess he's scouting you. He's obviously going to share a locker room with you, and I guess he's scouting you.
Good to meet you then.
Good to meet you too. Well, I met Matthew Forsaken, but good to meet you though. By the way, I want to get well for my buddy Skulls, who unfortunately I think got into a car accident earlier today, and I hope he's feeling better. He's in California, and a huge fan of yours. And he says, "Good evening, gentlemen," and definitely Skulls get well. And also for management, Hardcore versus Jimmy Controversy is a match that is going to scare people. That's what we love most about it.
I can guarantee that 100%. Some of the weapons I've made for this match already are absolutely disgusting. I don't know if you've seen my posts on Instagram, but
I have. I actually have been watching you. I've been watching.
I have a couple razor blade bats. I have a gusset contraption of some sort. I have.
Well, you've had a needle put in your mouth, so I mean, at this point, anything really doesn't faze you. At this point.
No, I'm actively searching for something to stop me in my tracks. And that's another reason why Jimmy should be very afraid, because at this point, there has been nothing.
They may not call him. They may not call him sergeant much longer. They might call him like one of the
He
lower
retired.
ranks.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give him like a Purple Heart or something. He's gonna be retired.
I know they still give those out, but I'll take your word for it. I actually got a good question. I want to actually bring somebody up the ladder. My very, very good friend here, Mr. Joshua Allen, who's the owner of Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, and any dream deathmatch opponents? Anything that you'd like to
Oh,
add on that?
just my short list. I mean, I think Schlack and I could obviously go insane. Uh, Eric Ryan, 100%. I definitely want to have a match with Mickey Knuckles. Oh man, I mean, at this point, if you put anyone in front of me, I'm game. You know what I mean? Like I've already gotten to get in the ring with Pondo, which was absolutely amazing. So
And what an honor, a guy that's been able to travel around the world, and one of those guys that kind of, I guess I would say, in a way, crossed over into the mainstream, and that's still a huge honor to have had that ability to share a ring with him, even regardless of what the match was itself.
still very surreal to me. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely an honor to share the ring with him, and it was crazy, absolutely crazy, and it was.
It's similar to what Jimmy said about Necro Butcher. He said, Necro Butcher, he grew up watching him, and then, he's in there and he's in the ring with him. But then it's almost like you have to get over it because it's like, okay, yeah, I looked up to him, I loved him, but
Yeah,
now I've got to go out and fight for myself. It's always interesting. And my lovely friend Zena from Brooklyn, New York, actually wants me to have a needle in my mouth, actually says that you've probably been through a lot worse because she's a fan of yours. And she also says that I should definitely be in a death match or two because she might want me to take some punishment. But that's here nor there. I'm sure a lot of people in Sportzwire would love to see that, but that's certainly not my expertise. I'm going to let the pros handle it, like yourself and Jimmy Controversy. I have a good one here. I have a couple of good ones here because people really want to talk to you. This is for my buddy Michael Blackheart. Michael's one of my biggest supporters out there. His father-in-law is a referee in a company called XCW, which really, to me, is the gold standard of underground semi-pro wrestling. And he wants to see you wrestle in XCW, Explosive Championship Wrestling. They're in the state of Shelbyville, Indiana. And he wants to see you wrestle a guy, Brogan O'Shea, who I have a feeling somebody might be scouting on his behalf tonight. And, would you love to go to places in Indiana or specifically Shelbyville, Indiana for a company like XCW? And, you would really fit in there pretty nicely because they've got some kind of talent like you, almost like a Justin Parsley, a DJ Wolbert. I mean, there's a lot of talent there in XCW that, I could see you mix it up with Corey Lee, Chris Jones. I mean, ACT. I mean, there's a lot of people there. Maybe if you're not doing anything one day in Shelbyville, Indiana, and Brogan O'Shea, I mean, any interest?
I mean, like I said, I'm game for anything, man. Like I'm not one to say no. I fought in burger joints. I've wrestled in,
So what's that like fighting in a burger joint? I mean, usually I have trouble tying my shoes, let alone going fighting in a burger joint.
I mean, I bled profusely, but every time I was there, I had a good time. I've fought in abandoned, warehouses, and
Did you get a free burger at least when you fought in the burger joint?
I was kind of bleeding all over the place, so I couldn't really be inside.
Okay, never mind. Forget that. Maybe
Also,
maybe the burger and fries were on the go then.
Fun fact about hardcore: hardcore's been vegan for about 13 years.
I have to say, this is a side point. I've always admired people that are vegan. I've actually, not that I'm a vegan, but I mean, it's definitely, I've always thought about those things as I've become a little bit more conscious in life. This is now, I still eat meat, but I certainly try to limit those things. So I really want to say, leave everything wrestling aside. I really respect your decision there because I do actually have thought about that in a lot of ways, and I really respect that you've actually done that for your life, and I wish more people would consider at least the impact on that. But I want to get to somebody else that's been a staple on Sportswire Radio, Mr. Craven Rage, who was at one time the ruler of the yard, and now he's the Backyard Nightmare. Still goes by that. He would love to see Matthew Forsaken, Soldier GP, and you in a triple threat match. But I think the same answer is going to be, if they book it, and they promote you and they got to contact you, they can do that on Instagram, by the way. So if you want to book hardcore, it's Instagram at no_guts_no_gory. That's it. He's got no TikTok. He's got no Twitter, X. He's got no Threads. He's got no Facebook. He's got no YouTube. It's just Instagram. So DM him, and if you want to book him, and if the terms are right, he'll be there. So definitely that's how you get in touch and book this man. Skulls wants to tell me that he's got a broken arm, it looks like, out of action for the next few months due to the possibility of surgery because he's trying to make a comeback. And Joshua Allen would like to say, not going to lie, would love to see you and bulldozer Matt Tremont. What do you think about that?
Oh, I would love to have a match with Tremont. Matt Tremont is actually 6 years younger than me, believe it or not. But he's been going much longer, obviously. But I think we would get silly. I think it would be disgusting.
Let me ask you a side point. That it's interesting because even though sure people might say the age, but in a way, I actually would say maybe you're younger than what you may say because you haven't been in terms of as many matches as somebody else. In a way that actually saves your body because there are guys out there. Dean Allmark, for example, is 40. Dean Allmark's wrestled 4,000 times. It doesn't matter if it's a death match. Doesn't matter if it's a 60-minute match. It doesn't matter whatever type of the match it was. He still put his body 4,000 times out there. You haven't done that. Does that make you feel like in a way that you're actually a lot more fresher and maybe more younger than your actual age is on the birth certificate? What's your thoughts on that?
I actually never thought about it like that, but that's a very good point.
I try.
Yeah. I'm sure that plays a factor. I also, I'm in the best shape I've been in probably the past 10 years, which helps.
You look great, by the way. I got to tell you, I mean, you definitely, I see you out there in the ring, and Jimmy's certainly, and Jimmy, by the way, I think he was a little bit motivated because was he looking for controversy? I don't know, but he was out there in the gym working out. But I mean, you are in great shape. Yep.
Yeah. What happened to his arm there? What happened to little?
He said that he got injured, I think, and he's been kind of laying low the last few weeks. We may or may not see him before the year is out, but basically, he's kind of been taking it easy. He just started hitting back. Today was the first day he hit the gym again. So he's, now he knows that, okay, I got 26 days. Hardcore is going to hit me with thumbtacks. He's going to stab me. He's going to throw me through who knows what else, glass, refrigerators, shopping carts, who knows what else. And he better go out there in the gym because if he doesn't, well, you are going to insurrect him pretty much.
I mean, I'm going to something him, that's for sure. I mean.
Well, I have some more comments. Hardcore versus Brax. What do you say on that? Could see it too.
Yeah. See, Brax and I were on the same bill for XBW not too long ago where I fought Pondo. Brax was on that one as well. I'm not sure if we met in the back or not real quick. I was very delusional from lack of sleep and travel. Like I went no sleep and I didn't mean to do no sleep and it was horrible. I was delirious at that point. So but like I remember meeting Fandango and that was surreal because it felt like a dream. And then
what was he like meeting him? Obviously a guy that's everybody in the world knows. What was that like?
He has a Brody Lee tattoo, which is awesome. I live in Buffalo, New York, and Brody.
I saw you were from Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken.
From Amsterdam, live in Buffalo. Yeah.
You were more, I would say, the middle of the state because I'm actually downstate. I'm in Staten Island. I grew up in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I know New York very well.
Hour from Albany, and then Buffalo. I'm like 10 minutes from Canada.
Literally. Yeah, you're right by the Canadian border. Yep, you're right there. You're right there. You're in Erie County.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's I love it up here. Like besides the snow and the the awful weather, it's pretty dope.
Well, it's not awful the whole year. It's nice in May, June, July, August. It's 5 months of the year. It's really nice. 3 months flip a coin, and you got the 3 months now: December, January, February, into March. Well, you just better pray, or not pray, or just hoping. Hope it ends quick. That's all.
I moved up here last year, and then immediately we got 7 feet of snow. 7 feet.
Which is funny because last year, as we're talking with renowned deathmatch wrestling star, the king of six, fill in the blanks, Mr. Hardcore. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of wrestling. Here in New York City, we had no snow. We had no snow last year, but you guys upstate had it all pretty much what we should have got. But that's here nor there. Matthew Forsaken wants to tell me, step in the ring with the Heartless One, Matthew Forsaken. We will all shall be forsaken. What do you say on that?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay, good. I think that's my answer to move on. I got that. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
Hardcore, what's your go-to vegan meal? Mine has to be butternut squash turned into a sloppy Joe style sandwich. I'm not vegan though.
So, my girlfriend and I cook a lot. We do a lot of Mexican, a lot of Asian, and a lot of Italian. So we do a lot of pasta dishes, and we do a lot of tacos. Vegan tacos are slamming. And then, we'll do sushi. We'll do, random tofu dishes, stuff like that. But yeah, we cook a lot together and
Let
eat a
me
lot of.
ask you a question in that, and maybe I'm curious on this because I've heard this before sometimes in athletes, and I'm curious because obviously you put your body through a lot. So I'm probably sure you never got this question before, so I'll ask it to you because I'm used to doing this here in my career. Maybe in a way, being a vegan, how has that helped you in terms of the style that you wrestle in the ring? Has that given you maybe more energy? Has it made your body in better shape to handle the punishment that you take? I'm curious in how this lifestyle that you've actually, become and turning into a vegan, how has that helped you in terms of your career?
Oh, it's definitely given me superpowers. No,
It
um,
might have. You are hardcore, so I wouldn't disagree with you. You are hardcore.
there's got to be a reason that I can take infinite amounts of punishment. That could be the reason. I don't know. I've never actually looked into it. I think it's definitely helped me not feel as rickety as I should. I mean, I've played sports most of my life, and I did martial arts for a long time, and uh, I should definitely be in worse shape. That's for sure. But I'm not.
No, because I've heard this before in a number of different athletes that sort of, let's say, went from, let's say, maybe they had an all meat diet and then went to a plant based or a vegan, vegetarian lifestyle. And they actually talked about the fact that it made them more, let's say, energetic. It gave them more actually strength. And they felt like their overall health and wellness. Because obviously, when you eat some of these processed foods, you feel sluggish, you feel tired, you feel these different things. And kind of going away from those foods actually can help you in different ways. Like coordination is one thing. So I thought maybe that would be a good question to ask you. And obviously, I've got more comments, but Matthew wants to say basically he just got the thumbs up. So one day it'll be hardcore versus Forsaken. So if it can be booked, Matthew Forsaken is also a part of DKW, Dark Cryptic Wrestling in Ohio. And if the terms are right, maybe that could also be. I got a good question from Mr. Painmaker himself. And by the way, I want to give him a big shout out because we're going to have him on Christmas Eve. I'm going to induct him into my Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and maybe you want to be in it one day. But I'll ask at the end of the show. In your opinion, who's the greatest deathmatch wrestler of all time? There's names that come to mind. Onita, Tremont, Nick Gage, and many others. For you, who is one of your greatest or the greatest deathmatch wrestler of all time?
Mick Foley, 100%. Um, that's who I grew up watching. But I mean, there's got to, if there's like a Mount Rushmore. I don't know if I could name four, but like, you know, Necro, the fact that he's still going, the way
Yeah,
he's
I
still,
mean, Jimmy, obviously Jimmy spoke about the fact that like this guy's still going, and he's like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, he's a machine. I don't fucking understand. Sorry, I don't understand it. Um, I mean, Schlack's up there. Eric Ryan's one of the best. Jun Kasai. I mean, there's right now. It's a golden era for deathmatch. It's the best it's ever been in history. I think. Like there's a golden age where it was the IWA Japanese tournament with Terry Funk and Cactus,
Sure.
and then there's the silver age where it was like CZW. Where everyone's getting started, and the Mondos and all that, and now it's like all the new era. So I mean, there's greatest of all time in the making right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many good ones right now. But like right off the bat, like my all-time favorite forever will always be Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, 100%.
I'm curious on this. Tell me your thoughts, because obviously there's a lot of deathmatch wrestling that's going around. Obviously, I agree with you that there's a newfound popularity in it, and certainly people also are exposing themselves into it that maybe they hadn't before. Do you feel like either one of two things? A, you're in competition with some of your peers, and B, conversely, do you maybe watch your peers' matches and say, you know what, okay, so and so did this in the ring. Now maybe I either got to try that or maybe even try something completely different to top that. I'm curious on that.
I that second part I actually say very often because when I see someone do something insane, I want to do something twice as insane. So I definitely say that all the time. My girlfriend actually is sitting here and she just chuckled because she knows it.
Well, I was like, you know what? I was like, somebody has to ask him this question because
Oh,
it reminds me almost there was an interview. So by the way, we say hello to your girlfriend. There was an interview that Sylvester Stallone had did, and they were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And obviously in the 80s, they were obviously the big action stars. And he said, every time I watch Arnold in a movie, I go, shoot, I got to go out there and top what he did. I almost felt like, so I was kind of thinking, because there's so many now deathmatch wrestlers. I'm like, you're in like high demand right now. And you see these people, and it's almost like maybe I got to top them. So I thought that would be a good question to ask you. Also, Michael wants to say that he believes Necro would beat cancer. If that's something that I believe he did. Yeah. So I want to make sure that
Yeah.
we mention that. Also, he heard that some people go for vegan for a mental cleanse. Is that something that you do for as well, or doesn't come to mind?
I'll give you the brief synopsis.
Sure.
I was married at one time, and when my wife at the time and I moved in together, she was vegan and I wasn't, and I said, "Well, I'm not cooking 2 meals every night," so I tried it.
That's pretty funny. I actually, you know what? If I had thought about that, I would say, you know what? That's pretty clever. Okay, but you know what? I was curious about something else here. And obviously, you guys have a punk lifestyle, and I want to talk about total effing chaos. This is where I want to really bring you guys in for a little bit because obviously, I know I only have so much time with you. And talk about the punk lifestyle. And I think a lot of ways it's very similar to what we see in the deathmatch world. Talk about how you kind of incorporate that, and also we'll come in after that about total effing chaos.
I mean, I feel like deathmatch and punk goes hand in hand. Like, we travel the country. We might as well be a punk band. You know what I mean? Like, the only difference is we play instruments. We sleep on floors. We drive for hours. You know what I mean? We survive in the harshest of conditions. We get the shit kicked out of us. We keep going. We get the shit kicked out of us the next day. We keep going. Uh, and we're doing it on our own terms, which is I mean, the punkest thing you can do. You know what I mean? Everything we do is DIY. You know what I mean? Like, I make my own gear. You know what I mean? Will makes all his own stuff. Like,
I heard apparently you have an IMDb credit out there. I even heard.
oh yeah, I mean, I used to dabble in the makeup industry for a while. I have a degree in special effects. So
Well, now you just get to have those special effects in real life. So now you don't need those effects. You can just have it in real life, right?
fake stuff. Now moved on to the real stuff. You know, I still love the fake stuff though. I'm a giant horror movie nerd. So,
But yeah, I kind of think that the punk style, I agree with you, is obviously my cousin was a roadie for a while and he played in bands. My brother played in bands. So I could definitely see and I really can identify with the lifestyle, the touring lifestyle. And I know that style. Obviously, going out there, you're going to travel, and you guys travel from state to state, place to place, and it gives you kind of that very alternate, independent, kind of free spirit style, which is why we love watching you in the ring. And then, total effing chaos. I mean, you guys are like, really, really super unique out there and talk about the group, talk about the lifestyle, talk about, everything that we've seen about you guys. You guys have really exploded here over the past year.
yeah, I mean, we're just spreading like a plague. Like I said, like, I mean,
Well, I wouldn't say it's a plague. You guys are, definitely having some success. Let's give you some credit.
oh, a plague in the best of terms, a plague in
Good
the best.
enough. Good deal. Fair play. Fair play.
But we are slowly but surely infiltrating all of deathmatch across the country, if not the North American continent, because we're in Canada. Shout out to my buddy Kyle up north.
I saw that. Yes, this summer you guys went to Canada. I saw.
Oh yeah, Kyle and I had a match for Spooky Dust for the famous Monsters. That's on IWTV right now. Go watch that because it's probably the most insane thing that I've done in a short little while. We did some absolutely insane things to each other. I was leaking blood out of the side of my head for a little while. That was kind of cool.
I did see you've actually had a dollar bill stapled to your head. I have seen, you had some interesting objects put into you. I mean, you've definitely, I guess you've run the A to Z list on how to bleed, I think, pretty much, right? I think you got that all covered from A to Z.
I'm trying to, at least, you know what I mean? I'm trying to cover all the bases. I've taken razor boards and scissor bats and Kenzons and what other crazy stuff have I taken? Holy shark teeth bats. If you can name it, I've probably taken it. And if I haven't taken it yet, it's on my list of things to do. So, another goal for 2024 is just to up the ante and make sure that no one can touch me in terms of ultra violence.
I know you've said this before. I've seen it on your social media page. I've heard you speak about this, but do you feel, or is there ever a time that you don't, let's say, maybe become numb to it, or you don't ever think in the back of your mind, hey, maybe something's going to happen? Do you ever, or just kind of go out there? It's almost like, in a way, being a musician, you go out there on stage and, whatever happens, you let it all kind of hang out there.
Yes and yes. Out there with the mentality that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Obviously, you know what I mean? We deal with a lot of, very dangerous things.
Sure.
That, clearly you're going to get cut and you're going to bleed and this and that. But I love it. I very actively need it on a regular basis. Otherwise, I feel weird. It very much is euphoric for me. It doesn't register as pain to my brain. It very much registers as pleasure. And I love deathmatch.
Well, we're going to certainly talk a little bit more about some death matches here for about 25 or 30 more minutes here with the one and only Mr. Hardcore. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio. And if you want to follow us here, you can always do that here again on our YouTube page at Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams. If you want to be on the radio, the worldwide internet radio, which we are on right now, we're on sportswireradio.org. And if you have a podcast out there, if you want to be a DJ and play some music, we have an internet radio station, which I provide all the fees to cover. I also handle all the engineering, all the programming, all the production for that. So if you'd like to put a podcast out there, even have a suggestion or two for me, you can do that here and check us out on sportswireradio.org. If you also want to read about Sportswire Radio, we have our new blog where I talked about Jimmy Controversy. Now I'm going to talk about Hardcore later this week in my blog. I'm going to write a big press release, big statement about him. So we'll give Hardcore side of the story. You can do that here on our Tumblr page. And we have more coverage here coming up on Sportswire Radio. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, I'm actually doing a different thing. I'm doing soccer. I'm doing college soccer with the head coach of the Five Town Sound men's soccer team, Jason Facina. He's also the assistant athletic director out there in Dix Hills. We're going to talk about the season that was for the guys, and it'll certainly be sound on. You can follow Coach Facina on Instagram at Coach Facina. You can check him out also with the Five Town Sound men's soccer program, FTC men's soccer on Instagram, 5towns_sound on Instagram. I'll also be back here with wrestling coverage on Thursday with the first real wrestler. And there's Mr. Justin Parsley of XCW. He's one half of the XCW Tag Team Champions. And again, Michael Blackheart mentioned that maybe one day we'll see Justin Parsley in versus Hardcore. Maybe we'll see Justin Parsley and square off with Rob Slater alongside Hardcore and a partner of his choice. Maybe Total Effing Chaos versus the first real wrestlers. Who knows what else it might be? But we're going to definitely hear from Justin Parsley as he is now inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. We'll also talk about the Viewers' Choice Awards. We'll also talk about Encounters Episode 1, plus who knows what else. That'll be Thursday night with Justin Parsley, Mr. Parsley's himself. But right now, we are here with the one and only legendary Hardcore to talk all things about his decorated career. You know, I was wondering about this question, and I mean, what are your goals for 2024, if you had any?
Well, I wouldn't mind a deathmatch belt. That would be kind of cool, I think. I think Total Fucking Chaos is due for a title. I want to get all of us together so we can travel the country and just do insane things. So we got to get Kyle back down here, and we got to get all of our members together. I want to go bigger. I want to go crazier. I want to do things that no one's ever seen before. I want to gross people out. I want to make people be disgusted by deathmatch. That's what I want to do.
That's interesting. I mean, you've actually done a lot so far, so that'll rather be very, very interesting. But I was also wondering, is there any place that you haven't got a chance to travel in, maybe wrestling wise, that you would like to go to? Maybe.
I definitely want to go to Texas. I would love to, go down maybe for like local wrestling. I would love to work for them. I want to go back out to California, do some Crimson Crown again, maybe some Circle 6. I mean, honestly, anywhere that'll have me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not picky. I'm not going to be like, no, I'm not going to go there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, put someone insane in front of me and we're going to have an insane match. That's what's going to happen. And that's what I want to do for 2024. I just want to do insane things with insane people.
Absolutely. I actually have a message here that also I will actually off the air. This is from DKW, obviously Dark Cryptic Wrestling in Ohio. And I've actually been messaged by the owner of the company. I'm not going to say the owner's name because we obviously want to keep everybody synonymous, but they're big friends of ours here. And when we're off the air, I'm going to give you actually his telephone number because they would like to work with you. So obviously I'm going to do that off the air. I don't want to give his number on the air because we don't want everybody to call DKW, but I'm going to actually take care of that off when we're off the air before we sign off the stream. After we're done on the air live with the people, I will give you his information and you can maybe set that up, whatever you guys want to decide. But I wanted to put that out there. So definitely thank you to the management of DKW for getting in touch with us. So I have to ask you, obviously you had a really, really successful year in 2023, but conversely, how do you feel this year went overall now that pretty much you're done and you've kind of got a chance to reflect a little bit. How was this year overall for you, and anything else?
Uh, it feels like it went 5 years, but it also feels like 20 minutes at the same time. It's very.
Why do you say that for? Why do you say that?
I feel like I've done a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, but at the same time, it feels like I've been doing it forever. I mean, I literally went coast to coast. I've accomplished a lot of things that I never thought I would have been able to do this year. Um, I I mean, I think it overall was amazing year for myself. I'm very glad to have Will on my side. I'm glad that we get to do anything that we want to do. Uh, I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate. It's
What has high pitch Will meant to you in your career? Obviously, having him alongside with you every time you're out there. What has he meant to you?
He's the reason that I got my start in deathmatch. Like, you know, he was the first person to invite me up. He introduced me to people who got me booked at places, and when he went his solo way, I immediately said, no, you got to come with me. We're gonna go everywhere together, and that's exactly how it started. You know what I mean? He helped me out, and then I helped him out, and now we're helping each other out. But he's also responsible for introducing me to my girlfriend. Uh,
Well,
he's
well, that now you definitely got to really be indebted to him because that's obviously maybe the most important part. No.
Yeah, every aspect of my life that's successful is because of Will, which is crazy because he's just an insane old punker just like me, and we just happen to work perfectly together, and just two insane crazy guys who love doing crazy things. And
But you know what? Sometimes that's how it works. Sometimes it's kind of like, you connect that way. People think, oh, well, they're this, they're that, but maybe you're bonded in a way, and that's what makes you and him work so well. And that's obviously why the group has also become as successful as it is.
yeah, we've all spilled blood together at this point, except for the guys who haven't met up yet. But yeah, he spills just as much blood as we do when we're out there. You know what I mean? He's bled more than me on certain occasions. You know, so I mean, he's just as much a part of everything as any of us. He's literally he's the one who put us all together. He's basically the Professor X of total fucking chaos. You know what I mean?
And speaking of that, by the way, I would actually like to give a huge plug to Total Effing Chaos because if you want to follow Total Effing Chaos, you can do that on Instagram at total_effing_chaos_incorporated. That is on Instagram at total_effing_chaos_inc. So say that again, do that. And also Instagram for hardcore no_guts_no_gory. And if you want to buy a shirt, you want to look cool, support the movement, make sure you can get one of your hardcore shirts. You can do that here at deathmatchworldwide.com /category /hardcore and go buy a shirt, especially for the holiday season. You think about whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Three Kings Day, Festivus. What a great gift that would make for a special someone. Go buy yourself a hardcore shirt. I mean, listen, my lovely lady friend Zena, who may not admit she wants to be my lovely lady friend, I could buy her a hardcore shirt, and I think that would be the best gift she could ever get, in addition to talking to me each and every time. So obviously, that's the way to go about it. So certainly, we want to make sure we support the movement, we support the cause, and obviously, we've got a little bit more time with you. And I want to focus on the end of the show here toward the TF crew, because obviously, this is the reason I'm here. I want to give a big thank you one more time to Gabe Sayers. If it wasn't for Gabe, I wouldn't have connected to you. I wouldn't have the opportunity to speak with yourself and Jimmy and obviously cover the show. And obviously you've been on a lot of shows, and Gabe was an up and comer. I know you've known Gabe for a little bit, but do you give Gabe any advice going into this show? It's his first live indoor event. I mean, have you talked to Gabe in that way in terms of anything? I know Jimmy, I asked the same question to, so I'm curious if you said anything to Gabe.
On like the production aspect of it or anything, I honestly think he's got it. Like, he's got a good mind for it, and the fact that he's got that, I'm pretty sure it's an abandoned weapons factory, which is cool as hell, by the way. Because that's a good way to start the year. Where are you wrestling? Abandoned weapon factory.
Well, I would say it's a pretty good resume builder. If I would have a resume to show to somebody, hey, I was in an abandoned weapons factory. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I have to say, it's almost like anarchist, like, in a way. I have to say, I mean, that's
It doesn't
pretty
get
unique. I have to say.
You know what I mean? I'm pretty much ready to fight anywhere at this point. But I mean, like I've seen him at multiple companies, and he definitely pays attention. So
Yeah, I think what impresses me most about Gabe is obviously my lovely friend Zena says that she wants to now see this abandoned weapons factory. Like I told you, she would be more interested in you than anything else. But no, I want to go back to Gabe real quick because I think what impresses me most about Gabe is that he really gets it. Gabe is a guy that he's really energetic. He puts his time into it, and I think he's done his homework. And I think the roster that we have on this show coming up, we've got Obey, we've got obviously Angel Santiago came on the show last week. We've got obviously guys in the IMF who are going to be there. Obviously, we'll see what they wrestle in, but there's a lot of guys all over the place that I think are really respected. And he's put together a really good card. And I think that's what's going to carry him because he's off the bat, his first ever live indoor event. He's got a stacked as a card. And I think that that's really what he's done his homework in the preparation for this.
Yeah, it's a good lineup of underground people, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. I'm glad that he fed Jimmy controversy to me right off the bat. I mean, we just get it out of the way. You know what I mean? Let's just go from there, and then from this point on, when he has his next show, hopefully Kyle can come down, and then we bring Chucky Stein and maybe one of our other members, and we just take over the whole show, because that's what Total Fucking Chaos does at this point. We show up somewhere and we end up part of the whole show.
Well, you are pretty much that and some. And again, it is a stack card. And I want people to follow the TF Crew on a few different platforms, especially on Instagram at TF Crew, YouTube at TF Crew 69, where you can watch TF Crew footage. You can see for yourself what's going to be. And what a stack card. You've even got, listen, Mikey Anarchy and Brax. I mean, think about that. Mikey Anarchy and Brax. I mean, that's another match. That's a dream match. Mikey Anarchy and Brax. I mean, guys, very, very well. That's another match I got to give a big mention to.
I've been in the ring with Anarchy a couple times, and I've bled copious amounts of blood with Anarchy. So I can vouch that he is a tough son of a bitch. I've seen Brax do his thing, and it's going to be a very, very hard-hitting match, and I'm very excited to be there for it.
Absolutely. We're really looking forward to the show itself. Obviously, it's going to be a stacked card. Stay tuned for more details on that. Obviously, the show will take place Saturday, January 6th. Now, think about this again. Obviously, you're getting over New Year's plans. You're getting over the holidays. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you're blue. Well, go out and support the TF Crew. Go out and find out more information. Go out there and support the likes of Hardcore. He's going to wrestle Jimmy Controversy. I mean, this is a dream match, not even a death match. This is a dream wrestling match. You think about the stars. You think about the big names. I mean, these are two guys that if you've got any show, these are the kind of guys I would want to book and put in my main event. And here they are. They're going to wrestle each other. And I hope it is the first of many matches between you and Jimmy. I know you're going to say Jimmy's never going to recover from this, but I would hopefully like to see this many, many more times, whether it's in the TF Crew, whether it's in XPW, whether it's in Ohio like DKW, whether it's in Iowa like the IMF, maybe in Indiana like XCW. The point is, I would love to see you and him run it back many, many more times. That's if Jimmy can obviously get up. And certainly, Jimmy, I know, again, has obviously been focused on Dean Allmark. He's been focused on other things. He's been focused on his own company and, his own background. But I think you look like you are primed and poised for some big things coming up. As we come toward the end of the show here, I always ask this question to wrestlers like yourself. Now, I know, obviously, you've done a lot. You've been in the ring with a number of different people. But I'm curious, especially for those that are listening and watching, and maybe even hearing from you hardcore the first time, is there one or two moments in your career that stand out most?
I mean, other than fighting Pondo, man, going out to California and fighting for Crimson Crown, being in the ring with like Clint Margera, that was extremely cool.
And speaking of California, I have one more name, which I just realized you've actually been in the ring with somebody that I sort of know, Kid Bandit.
Oh yeah, that was also a very big.
And here's my tie to Kid Bandit, because Kid Bandit has also only been in the ring for a short time. I know it's a different name now, but the person that Kid Bandit trained with was actually somebody I knew very well who came out of the Nightmare Factory, Ishmael Vaughn. And that was Kid Bandit's tag team partner. So, like, when I saw that you had been in the ring with Kid Bandit, I'm like, I got to ask him this question, because Ishmael Vaughn, I was I knew when this guy was going out in the Nightmare Factory, and I interviewed him like 2.5 years ago. So I'm like, what was that like? He's another guy, and Ishmael's great, but Kid Bandit is like somebody that a lot of people really look to book, and especially in the California wrestling scene. So what was that like with Kid Bandit?
Oh, it was great working with Kid Bandit. I mean, they obviously beat the hell out of me with a scooter and put thumbtacks in my mouth and cut my forehead open with a butterfly knife. But besides that, it was absolutely wonderful. You know, it was just that whole experience out in California was amazing. You know, being invited out there is just crazy. But that was a highlight. I mean, XPW was a highlight. I got my first pro deathmatch win at XPW in my match against Tarzan, which, I mean,
Tarzan we spoke about on Friday's show with Jimmy. Yep, Tarzan is definitely a big deal.
Amazing. That man can out wrestle any human being that I've ever met. He is just a ball of talent. Great guy. That was a highlight. I mean, there really isn't a low thing that I've done because it's all been dream stuff for me. You know what I mean? Like everything I do is, something I love. So it just keeps getting cooler at this point. I like, flying off of that 2-story building down for POR. That was a highlight. The fact that I survived that was pretty cool. I thought.
I'm glad you survived it too, because obviously we're going to see you in the TF Cruz North Haven Massacre, but we have you here on Sportswire. But conversely, before I get to a final thought on Jimmy, then let you close it. It's a tremendous honor to have you. I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity and allowing me to speak with you. But, I have a lot of these different up-and-coming wrestlers that come on here. Some are trained, some are in the backyard, some are, I don't even know what you call them at this point. But I was wondering, because sometimes I get a chance to ask wrestlers this question. Sometimes I don't. But because I have you here and I feel like you would be somebody that would really be good at asking this question to, what advice would you give to any up-and-coming wrestler?
Put in the work. Don't rush. Make sure you get that training in and, you do things proper and practice a lot and work out, because I mean, literally, you don't think that working out is a lot of it, but it really is a lot of it. Like you gotta be strong enough to handle another human being, and don't be a prick. That's the biggest thing. Don't be a prick.
My lovely lady friend is telling me that all the time, and unfortunately, I can't do it. Just unfortunately, I lost on that one.
I try very hard to not be an asshole in any way in this business. I try to help people as much as I can, and if all else fails, at least I'll be known as the guy who wasn't a jerk.
Well, I always look at it this here. Again, we're speaking with the one and only Hardcore. If you want to follow him on a number of different platforms, please follow him. I always look at it like this: it doesn't hurt to give somebody a smile, to say hello, to just talk to somebody, pay their respects. It doesn't hurt. At the end of the day, you don't know what people are going through. There's so many things going on in the world. It never hurts to be kind, because you never know how you can make a difference in somebody's day. But also conversely, wrestling is kind of like an apprenticeship. So if I can learn from somebody, take advice, be there early, stay late, maybe help out with the ring, do those different things.
The ring, always help out.
That's my point. Listen, we had Angel on the show last week, and he talked about that. And I would think, again, if I'm up and coming, or even if I'm not up and coming, maybe if I'm a veteran, you know what? I stay out there, and I learn camaraderie. I learn it, I make friendships, I make bonds. And I think that's important. That's more important sometimes than anything else in life, because people they don't remember you by how much money you have. They remember you by how many people that showed up at your funeral. So that's why I look at it like this way. You know what? At least that way, if I go about it the right way and people get along with me, they like me, I'll be remembered for that. Maybe not so much by me, but everybody else that's in the wrestling business to go out there and try. I could ask you so many different things, and I obviously want to end this way, which I think is the best way to end, because obviously the next time we're going to see you in the ring, sir, is coming up January the 6th for the TF Crew North Haven Massacre. And I have to ask, because I gave Jimmy the opportunity, now I give it to you. What is your final words to Sergeant Jimmy Controversy before January 6th, TF Crew North Haven Massacre, TF Crew Deathmatch?
I have only 2 words. I'm going to keep it real simple. 2 words.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Ladies and gentlemen, short, sweet, to the point. Maybe it was short, bloody to the point, because Hardcore pretty much said, listen, Jimmy Controversy, you are basically in for something you have no idea that you're going to be in for, and there's no way you can get out of it. And that's why very well could your luck run out January the 6th. Forget about Dean Allmark. Forget about challenging him. Forget about rematches with Tommy Dreamer. Forget about rematches with Gary Wolf. Forget about GTS getting booked in XPW. Maybe even your own company, Pro Wrestling Venom, because January 6th, time is up. Hardcore is going to put you through things you will have never, ever, ever have seen, and you won't even know it's coming. And that's why you want to support the TF Crew on Instagram at TF Crew, YouTube at TF Crew 69, and get ready for that first ever live indoor show, the TF Crew North Haven Massacre, and arguably the main event. It's going to be Sergeant Jimmy Controversy and Hardcore, what very well could be Jimmy Controversy's final match of his career, and Hardcore is just getting started for 2024, a dream match that could very well be a one and only match. I think I've said enough about it. My friend, it has been an absolute honor. I want to give you the floor now. Any closing thoughts, anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And the floor is yours, and fire away.
Just thanks for having me, man. It's always, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry it took a little while for me to get on here.
No, I think it was actually worth it this way. You know what? Sometimes they say it's good to wait. Sometimes they say the best things are for those that have to wait. And I think that this was actually the way it worked out, because we kind of like got Jimmy. Ironically, we're booking you for weeks, but Jimmy was all of a sudden, it was like, hey, I want to come on. And then it was like, all of a sudden, it was like, you're coming on. So I'm like, wow, it's almost like the lightning bolts came down. Like the stars aligned almost. So I actually think that this worked out much for the better, to be honest.
Good. I'm glad. No, besides, me killing Jimmy, just Deathmatch Worldwide, get some hardcore merch, get some Total Fucking Chaos merch, support the underground. Look for me in 2024 across the country, hopefully across the globe. We'll see what happens.
I think my buddy's in Ohio after we get off the air. I'm going to give you their telephone number, so maybe that might be one place.
Appreciate that. Thanks everyone who had questions. Thanks for hopping on. I'm going to be going absolutely insane in 2024, so everyone needs to probably prepare to either up their game or get out of the way, because it's going to get real silly real fast.
Yeah, I could definitely see that there's definitely, enjoy your Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. It's almost like that Megadeth song, Last Rites. For those that might be in the ring with you, it's going to be Last Rites. I mean, Megadeth kind of had a punk influence, so that would be a good one to throw out there, at least a Megadeth Last Rites song. That was a kind of fun one.
Get down with Megadeth. Yeah. It's going to be a silly year, and it's going to be very bloody, and just keep your eyes peeled, because we're literally going to be everywhere.
I can't wait. Total effing chaos is going to be everywhere. And Matthew Forsaken wants to say that you're effed. Hell yeah. ? Well, you know what? You're going to have to find out. But before we sign off, one more time, I want people to follow Hardcore on a number of different platforms, especially the only place you can get them. You can't get them on TikTok, can't get them on Threads, can't get them on X, can't get them on YouTube, can't get them on Facebook, can't get them on Snapchat. That's a thing. It's going to be on Instagram at no_guts_no_gory. And if you want to buy that shirt, deathmatchworldwide.com /category /hardcore. Like I said, for you, Xena, that's your gift this year. Get that hardcore shirt. You're going to wear it. You're going to look good in that shirt. And also Total Effing Chaos. You want to follow Total Effing Chaos on Instagram, Total_Effing_Chaos_Inc., aka Incorporated. Make sure you support them. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio. Also, want to say very hello to your girlfriend. Obviously, want to wish her happy holidays. Well, happy New Year. And hi, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for giving us Mr. Hardcore the time. Obviously, we know that you're the most important person, so we want to thank you for allowing us for Hardcore to be borrowed here for a few minutes. And happy holidays. I can't wait to watch you at the TF Cruise show. Thank you so much for your time, sir. It's been an absolute honor, and I hope we can do this again in a few months.
I think we should, yes.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Hardcore right before his match on January the 6th at the North Haven Massacre against Jimmy Controversy, what could very well be Jimmy Controversy's final match in a TF Crew death match. Stay tuned for more details on the YouTube page of TF Crew, TF Crew 69, TF Crew on Instagram. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of pro wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming, probably Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer jingles until we play back the rest rest of the show on. But if you're on Sportswire Radio on YouTube, Twitter, thank you for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow night with 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Jason Facina, head coach of the Five-Town Sound men's soccer team, also the assistant athletic director. And Thursday night, Justin Parsley to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Stay tuned for more details on that. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.